Kristine Denise Smart, commonly known as Kristin Smart, was born on February 20, 1977, in Augsburg, Germany, to Stan and Denise Smart. At the time of her birth, her father, Stan Smart, was serving in the U.S. military, which led the family to live abroad temporarily. However, shortly after Kristin's birth, the family relocated back to the United States and settled in Stockton, California, where she was raised alongside her younger brother, Matt Smart, and younger sister, Lindsay Smart. Kristin grew up in a loving and close-knit family. Her parents, Stan and Denise, were known for being highly involved in their children's lives and placed great emphasis on education, personal growth, and outdoor activities. Both parents worked to provide a stable and nurturing environment for their children. Her father, Stan Smart, was a military veteran who later transitioned into a career in education. He worked as a teacher and school administrator, roles that reflected his passion for learning and community service. His disciplined and structured approach to parenting was balanced with warmth and encouragement, making him a strong role model for his children. Her mother, Denise Smart, was actively involved in her children's lives and was a pillar of support for the family. She emphasized the importance of kindness, integrity, and perseverance. Denise was known for her strong sense of community and advocacy, which later played a crucial role in the relentless pursuit of justice for Kristin. Kristin was the eldest of 3 siblings, and she naturally took on a leadership role within the family. Matt and Lindsay looked up to their sister, admiring her adventurous spirit and charisma. The Smart siblings shared a strong bond, spending time together on family trips, outdoor excursions, and community activities. The Smart family was well respected within their Stockton community. They were active in local events, school programs, and sports. Kristin, being an athletic and outgoing individual, grew up participating in various activities, often encouraged by her parents and supported by her siblings. Kristin's upbringing was filled with family traditions, vacations, and celebrations that emphasized togetherness. Her parents instilled values of resilience and determination, traits that Kristin carried with her as she pursued her dreams. The strength of the Smart family would later become evident in their unwavering fight for answers and justice following Kristin's disappearance in 1996. The day and night Kristin Smart disappeared, May 24th and 25th, 1996. Kristin Denise Smart, a 19-year-old freshman at California Polytechnic State University, Cal Poly, in San Luis Obispo, vanished in the early hours of May 25, 1996. Her disappearance remains one of the most haunting cases in California's history. The events leading up to her vanishing unfolded on the night of May 24, 1996, as she attended an off-campus party and never made it back to her dorm. On Friday, May 24, 1996, the evening before the disappearance, it was Memorial Day weekend, and most students at Cal Poly had either gone home or were planning weekend trips. Kristin Smart, however, remained on campus. She had been feeling a bit restless, wanting to go out and socialize. That Friday night, Kristin decided to attend an off-campus party at 135 Crandall Way, a house just a few blocks from the university. The party was relatively small, with mostly Cal Poly students in attendance. Kristin, known for her outgoing personality, was excited to meet new people. According to witnesses, Kristin arrived at the party sometime around 10:30 p.m. She was seen socializing, laughing, and dancing. Some reports indicate that she had been drinking that night, though it remains unclear how much. She was not carrying any personal belongings such as a purse, wallet, or phone. As the party continued into the night, Kristin's behavior reportedly changed. Several people noted that she seemed intoxicated and at one point even lay down on the grass outside the house, appearing to be in a state of semi-consciousness. Notably, Paul Flores, a fellow Cal Poly student, was seen interacting with her throughout the evening. Witnesses recalled instances where Flores appeared overly attentive, with one attendee advising Kristin to stay away from that guy due to his persistent behavior. As the party concluded around 2 a.m. on May 26th, Kristin was found lying on a neighbor's lawn, seemingly incapacitated. Tim Davis, who had organized the party, and Cheryl Anderson, another student, assisted her to her feet and began walking her back to her dorm. Paul Flores joined them, offering additional support to Kristine, who was struggling to maintain her balance. Davis departed first, leaving Anderson, Flores, and Kristine to continue. Shortly after, Anderson also parted ways near her own dorm, Sierra Madre Hall, after Flores assured her he would ensure Kristine's safe return to her dorm, Muir Hall. This was the last known sighting of Kristin Smart. In the initial stages of the investigation, the University Police Department faced criticism for their delayed response, initially suspecting that Kristine had gone on an unannounced vacation. This assumption led to a significant delay in reporting her as a missing person to local law enforcement. Kristine never made it to her dorm, and the following morning, her roommates noticed her bed was untouched. Initially, they assumed she had stayed elsewhere. However, as the hours passed and she failed to return or contact anyone, concern grew. Kristine's parents, who lived in Stockton, began to worry when they didn't receive their usual Sunday phone call from her. They called the campus police, but initially, officers were slow to act, believing Kristine may have gone away for the long weekend. It wasn't until 3 days later, on May 28, that a missing person report was officially filed. As frustration mounted, Kristine's friends and family began searching for answers themselves. Flyers were distributed around campus and throughout San Luis Obispo. When law enforcement finally got involved, they conducted a brief interview with Paul Flores, but no significant action was taken immediately. Her dorm room was not treated as a potential crime scene until days later, which likely resulted in the loss of valuable evidence. Kristine's disappearance deeply impacted the community. Students at Cal Poly felt uneasy, and rumors about what had happened to her spread rapidly. Despite their efforts, local authorities struggled to gather concrete leads, leaving Kristine's loved ones in anguish as they pleaded for more investigative resources to be devoted to the case. As weeks turned into months, the frustration of Kristine's parents, Stan and Denis Smart, grew exponentially. They felt that law enforcement was not doing enough to locate their daughter and were angered by the slow response in treating the case as a criminal investigation. The Smarts tirelessly pushed for media attention, frequently appearing on television and news outlets to keep Kristine's case in the public eye. They also hired private investigators to conduct independent searches and interviews, believing that authorities were not being thorough enough. Their frustration mounted as leads seemed to go nowhere, and Paul Flores, the prime suspect, remained free despite the evidence pointing in his direction. The disappearance of Kristine took an immense emotional toll on her parents and siblings. Denis Smart has spoken about the profound grief and helplessness she felt, comparing it to an unending nightmare. Both parents expressed frustration with the justice system, stating that it felt as though they were fighting an uphill battle with little institutional support. They endured years of waiting for answers, facing disappointment after disappointment as law enforcement efforts stalled. At times, they feared that Kristine's case would be forgotten entirely, leading them to take on the role of investigators and advocates themselves, determined to bring change and prevent similar tragedies. The Smarts became vocal advocates for legislative reforms. Their persistence led to the passage of the Kristin Smart Campus Security Act in 1998, requiring public colleges in California to coordinate with local law enforcement on serious crimes. In addition to legal efforts, they maintained constant pressure on investigators, refusing to let the case fade from public consciousness. Their advocacy played a crucial role in ensuring that law enforcement continued to pursue new leads and re-examine old evidence. Paul Flores was a student at California Polytechnic State University, Cal Poly, in San Luis Obispo, California, in 1996. He became widely known in connection with the disappearance of fellow student Kristin Smart, a case that remained unsolved for over 2 decades. The disappearance of Kristin Denise Smart in 1996 remains one of the most perplexing and extensively investigated cases in California's history. Over the years, the case has seen numerous developments, leading to the eventual conviction of Paul Flores for her murder in 2022. The initial response to Kristin's disappearance was marred by delays. Campus police suspected she had gone on an unannounced vacation, leading to a slow reporting to local law enforcement. It took a week before she was officially reported missing. Despite her family's earlier concerns, the investigation into the disappearance of Kristin Smart was marked by critical missteps, extensive forensic analysis, and ultimately, a relentless pursuit of justice that spanned over 2 decades. The role of law enforcement evolved significantly over time, from an initially sluggish response to an aggressive effort that included advanced forensic searches, wiretaps, and excavation of key locations. Delayed reporting and initial search efforts. Kristin Smart was last seen on May 25, 1996. Despite concerns from friends and family, Cal Poly campus police initially treated her disappearance as a case of a student voluntarily leaving town for the holiday weekend. This assumption resulted in crucial investigative delays. Campus police took several days to file an official missing person report, assuming she would return. Local police were not immediately notified, further stalling investigative efforts. The Smart family, frustrated by the delay, actively pressured officials to treat it as a potential abduction. Early interviews and campus dorm searches. When law enforcement eventually launched an inquiry, they focused on the last person known to have seen Kristine alive, Paul Flores. Flores was interviewed multiple times, but provided inconsistent statements. Initially, he claimed he left Kristine near her dorm, but he later contradicted himself. Campus security conducted dormitory searches, focusing on Flores' room in Santa Lucia Hall. A cadaver dog search was conducted in the dorms, where the dog strongly alerted to Flores' mattress, suggesting the presence of human decomposition. Despite the alerts, no physical evidence was collected at the time, and Flores was not arrested. Investigators obtained a warrant to search Flores' room, but by that time, the evidence was limited, as the dorm had been cleaned. Despite the strong alerts from cadaver dogs, investigators lacked conclusive physical evidence, and no arrests were made. Soil and ground radar analysis around Cal Poly believing Kristine's remains might be on or near campus. Officials used ground-penetrating radar, GPR, to scan areas surrounding the dormitories and campus. Excavations were performed in select areas, including nearby hills and construction sites, but yielded no results. Physical evidence and challenges. Despite early forensic leads, investigators struggled due to the lack of a body or definitive physical evidence linking Flores to the crime. The elapsed time before the case was taken seriously, reducing the chances of preserving crucial forensic material. With advances in forensic science and renewed public pressure, law enforcement reopened the investigation into Kristin Smart's disappearance. While remains were not found, forensic testing indicated possible past human decomposition. Wiretaps and surveillance on Flores. Family law enforcement obtained wiretaps on phone calls involving Paul Flores and his family. Surveillance was placed on locations linked to Flores, including his father's property in Arroyo Grande. Breakthrough in the case, 2020 to 2022, the final investigation forensic digging at Flores' family home. A major breakthrough came when authorities executed a search warrant on Paul Flores' father's home in Arroyo Grande in 2020. Using ground-penetrating radar, they identified soil disturbances consistent with a buried body. Excavation efforts found biological material, which was later linked to Kristin Smart. Paul Flores was arrested in April 2021. In 2022, a jury convicted him of Kristin Smart's murder. The investigation into Kristin Smart's disappearance was long and challenging, marred by early delays, but ultimately resolved through persistent forensic efforts. Law enforcement's use of cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar, and wiretaps played a crucial role in uncovering the truth. Despite the difficulties in securing physical evidence, advanced forensic techniques eventually led to the conviction of Paul Flores. Paul Flores was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for the 1996 murder of 19-year-old Kristin Smart. Following his sentencing, Flores was incarcerated at Pleasant Valley State Prison. In August 2023, he was attacked by a fellow inmate and sustained injuries. Due to safety concerns, Flores was subsequently transferred to Corcoran State Prison in June 2024. Paul Flores remains in prison, serving his sentence for the murder of Kristin Smart.